All right, welcome back to the show nobody asked for, but you're getting it anyway, so enjoy. So tonight we watched Night of Champions. This is Behemoth. This is the Little Red Machine,
Good evening.
and we just got through watching it. Thankfully, it was a relatively short show, which is a problem with wrestling nowadays. Is every show is 4.5 hours or have multiple nights. And before we go any further, we'd like to say that we have instructions from the Saudi Arabian government to say lots of nice things about Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. Otherwise, they will remove our heads from our bodies. But other than that, everything is great. We love it. Best show we've ever seen. And anyway, no, that's definitely not the case. But it was all right. But our announcers were Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. And we had some interesting appearances later in the show, which we'll get to when we get there.
Don't forget the lovely ring announcer.
Oh yeah, Martin Ash, who sounded like he was grunting out a turd at every time he was announcing someone all night.
Awful.
I don't know why every announcer has to go now.
I know it. Give me Lillian any day.
Give me almost anybody.
That's true.
Yeah. So the first match, what a match to start with this was. We had the King of the Ring men's final with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And during the match, I got up, got a snack, went to the bathroom, took a shower, drove and got groceries, and came back, and it was still on. No, it wasn't as long and painful as Orton versus Cena, but still, it went like, what, 25 minutes?
Yeah, and it was hard to watch because they were both huffing and puffing, and it just drug on.
It's like a match of 25 minutes where almost nothing happened, which is my usual problem with Orton matches. Not that there's any major botches or anything, just that it's so slow that you could use it as some kind of sleep medication.
I noticed that they had trouble going up on the ropes. They were really slow and so cautious that it took forever. It bored
Yeah,
me.
it kind of made me wonder if there was something different about these ropes than the usual ones that they
Exactly.
had. Because I've never really seen Orton struggle to get on the ropes before.
True.
And to be fair, I haven't seen Rhodes go on the ropes that often, so I can't really speak there. But anyway, after about 25 minutes of this, Orton tried to cheat to get the victory. He took the turnbuckle off of the end of the turn. Yeah, he took the turnbuckle post off, tried to send Cody into it, and Cody's turned it around on him and picked up the win after an exposed turnbuckle shot and a crossroads. And then, oh man, we saw Byron Saxton. I thought he was either dead or excommunicated to the Bermuda Triangle, but apparently he's still, for some reason, employed by the WWE. And oh man, the promo. You want to talk about Cody's promo?
Really?
Yeah, go for it.
Cody, he he practiced to be an actor. That's what he went to be before he became a wrestler. And that's what it sounds like. It sounds like something that he memorized, but doesn't really have a lot of emotion behind it. It's slow and tedious and just hard to listen to. You get up, get a snack, go to the bathroom, come back, and he's still talking.
And he was talking about how wonderful Orton was and how he's going to take the title. And it was typical Cody, not exciting at all. And Saxton always just stands there and stares into space because he has no purpose.
True.
Anyway, so the next match was actually one of the better matches in the show. We had a street fight between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez, who was probably the only woman on the roster bigger than her. Actually, I shouldn't say that, Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
But the only good wrestler on the roster bigger than Rhea Ripley. So they were doing some ridiculous shit in this match. Like on the outside, Rhea got power bombed through the little top of the table. I'm not sure what you actually call it, but they'd set it up, and then Raquel power bombed her through it. They were Razor's Edge off the top rope by Ripley.
Prison trap.
Oh, Prism, not prison.
Oh, sorry. I
This,
wrote it
this,
down
this,
wrong.
that's a whole different video involving large women that we're talking about.
Oh, God, no.
But yeah, the ending was a little bit took a while to set up, but it was a really cool looking spot where they put a table across the ring ropes and Ripley gave her a super riptide off the top rope for the win. And there was some interference by what's her name, Roxanne Perez.
I thought what was funny was when she fell on the outside of the ring on the floor, and she put her in a trash can. Ripley.
Oh yeah, she put Roxanne.
The crap out of her.
Yeah, and then gave her like a concussive kick with the trash can.
It's awesome because she's so tiny.
Yeah, Roxanne is really small. But it was actually a pretty good match, and far more entertaining than the first match.
Yeah, it just shows Ripley rules.
Yeah, Ripley's awesome. The best wrestler they've got in the women's division.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's lost a little weight, but she's...
And to be fair, she's the one person who, with the full body outfits they require in Saudi, that actually looks natural on her.
Absolutely. Everybody else, you could tell that they weren't comfortable with it, and it didn't
or it just didn't look right, yeah. But her looked natural because she's cut the Dom thing anyway.
Exactly. So the black.
I like the on her collar. She had brutality on it.
What about the orange pumpkins with the?
Oh yeah, she had the jack-o'-lantern smile on her butt and also on her leg.
It was really cool.
Yeah, no, I like anything jack-o'-lantern. But yeah, pretty good match. Any other things we didn't cover on that one?
No, it's just the only thing I have to say is that Ripley is. In some ways, she's better than the men about doing her moves. She's not flip about it. You can tell she tries really hard to do it correct so that she doesn't hurt anybody. And she's precise. I've yet to see her make a mistake.
I think the only mistake I've seen her make was when she actually got in the ring with the refrigerator jacks.
Oh, dear God, I'd look at her and run.
Yeah, I mean, how many people has that woman hurt?
She's a
very sloppy.
Yes.
But yeah, the next match was Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross, which was the I don't give a fuck match of the evening. Now, granted, it was nothing that was really bad or offensive about this match, and the crowd loves Sami Zayn, but this match was a nothing. Karrion Kross is fine in the ring, but I just could not give a shit less about him, and I don't think the crowd did either. They cheered for Sami, but Kross got like a nothing reaction. And I don't know what the hell happened to Scarlett, but she looks like a Botox nightmare.
She's had some bad stuff done to her face. Maybe she hired the mechanic down the road or something. Got her in a bargain.
I don't know, but it was. Awful. She doesn't look at all like the same person she did in Ring of Honor or even a few years ago.
If they hadn't announced her name, I'd have never known it was her.
Yeah, you asked me who it was. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's Scarlett. Oh my God.
What happened to her?
So yeah, they basically the end of the match. It's all of the comments I took, and you can add whatever. But he has Kross has his own sleeper variation he calls the Kross jacket, and Sami started zulking up where he instead of hulking he's zulking. I'm gonna try to get that over. Probably won't, but you know. And then basically. The story is that Kross had him beat, but he kept taunting him and messing with him, and that cost him. Sami kicked him in the face with the Helluva kick and pinned him because they can't say hell of a.
God.
I don't know. It's like they say much worse things on a regular basis, but maybe it's a vestige back to when WWE was trying to be super PG. I don't know. Any other comments on this one?
The female referee.
Oh yeah, that's the only thing. The point of a referee is that if somebody needs to be separated, the referee ostensibly should be able to separate them. But this referee, I don't believe in a million years could have kept either of these two from killing each other.
They'd have thrown her over like a sack of potatoes.
It's like, this is not like if Raquel Rodriguez was the referee or Rhea Ripley, I would be like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Exactly.
So they could actually potentially hold somebody back, but no.
This match was boring. Just flat out boring. The punches look fake. The Kross guy, I've not seen him but maybe a couple of times. At both times, he looks like he's just phoning it in. It's real fake. He doesn't make it look real. His punches are sloppy. Doesn't look like he's hitting anything. When he smiles, you know, you need to have your eyes light up with that smile. Or when you snarl at somebody and want to scare the crap out of them, you need to look ferocious. He's just got this look like he's crazy, not mad, but just crazy. You know, he's just not good. His moves are good, It's just that facial expressions don't fit. I kind of think I'm looking at Orton in the beginning.
At least he doesn't move that slow.
No, but the way that Orton used to, he'd be snarling and he'd be sitting back doing nothing.
The face doesn't match the action.
It's like, come on, man. Put the emotions with the moves.
So our next match was Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa for the U.S. title. And like everybody else, I went into this assuming that it's just a way to get Jacob Fatu another win. But, of course, we had a bloodline finish, if you want to call it that, where everybody in the world interfered. The match itself was actually pretty good, and then we just had the big schmoz. Both guys work well together. You can tell that they're familiar with each other. Solo is not one of my favorite wrestlers, but he did a good job in this match, and Jacob is incredible. For a big guy, he does moves like Jeff Hardy and swanton bombs, climbing up the edges of things with clotheslines, just ridiculous. He did a hard to describe move where when the other members of the bloodline came out there, he leaped, did like a corkscrew moonsault in midair out of the ring onto two other guys. It was insane for a guy who's like 250 pounds.
He's amazing. It just terrifies me. He's going to hurt himself, but at the same time, you're so impressed by the move, you can't even breathe.
Little guys sometimes can't do this stuff, right?
And he's so big, so it's really unusual to see someone like that do it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it just once in a while. He does it every match.
Yeah. But he also still has that aura of menace about him.
What is he ever? He's terrifying.
Which is one of the things that makes him so interesting to watch. But anyway, at the ending, everybody in the world came out there. We had Jeff Cobb, a.k.a. J. Mateo. We had Tonga Loa.
And Tama Tonga.
No, Tama Tonga was the one who was absent.
Oh, that's right.
And then Hikuleo was his name in New Japan. I didn't catch what they called him here, but Hikuleo was the big 7-foot monster.
Was Tonga Leo?
No, Tonga Loa is the other dude.
One, yeah.
So I don't know what they call him in WWE. I'm sure we'll find out next time we watch. But anyway, after everybody in the world interferes and Hikuleo beats him up and smashes him onto the table, Solo takes advantage with the spike and wins the championship. And they leave Jacob in the ring while they're all posing. It was 4 different guys in Solo's new bloodline.
It was a really good match.
Yeah, it was pretty good. We just had to have the fuck finish because that's the only way that would make sense to get it off of Jacob and not make him look bad.
Honestly, I think it was the best match. Period.
Looking at all these, yeah, I have to agree. So we had the second to last match of the evening, which was the Queen of the Ring final, which just sounds strange. But we had Asuka versus Jade Cargill. And, Jade Cargill, we've seen once or twice when she was on AEW, and she was horrible. She's huge, she's got a great look, but she is hideous in the ring, and that hasn't changed all that much. I mean, she didn't do as many, botches as in AEW, but she is slow and relatively immobile, and Asuka wrestles circles around her.
Honestly, I think Asuka did all the work and she did very little.
Yeah, basically just like the last few moves, Jade did some stuff, and my favorite part, on the pin after she hits her, Jade hits her finish, she rolls Asuka up and accidentally rolls her shoulder off the mat, but the camera zoomed away really quick. If you weren't paying really close attention, you wouldn't notice it. But so Jade is the Queen of the Ring, and she cut one of the worst promos I've seen in years. After that, it was like a coherence level of Ultimate Warrior, but without the intensity or any of the interest.
Made absolutely no sense.
She said something about rising over the booze, and then babbled and stumbled and said that everybody here should rise over it and something, and then she was going to win the title at SummerSlam. It was brutal. And there was again Byron Saxton, he said 2 words and then just stood there like an idiot.
He asks this question and then doesn't engage again. He lets him say whatever it is and then says, okay, bye.
Yeah, basically.
It's like, really?
All right. So Before we get to this main event,
Oh boy.
we have a special sponsor for today's video, so hold on. Do you like terrible pizza? Do you like pizza that tastes like cardboard with cheese that tastes like fermented cow piss? Well, here's your deal. Buy Papa John's pizza today. Not only is it overpriced, it is guaranteed to give you indigestion or your money back. Alright, so we'd like to thank Papa John's for that lovely ringing endorsement of their delicious pizza. So we now will move on to the main event, which was the WWE Championship match between John Cena and Blood Money Punk. And if you wonder why I'm calling him that, there was a tweet a few years ago where he responded to Miz telling him to go suck a blood money covered dick because of Miz going to Saudi Arabia. And yet, here he is in Saudi Arabia. So he must not have had too much of a problem with it. Or he's the Krusty the Clown, which is, oh my God, I couldn't help it. They dropped a dump truck worth of money. I couldn't help it. But either way.
You know, that was one of the things that he preached so hard when he was on AEW.
Oh, yeah.
His scruples. And I'm like, yeah, man, they are all connected to dollar signs. You don't have any scruples.
And to be fair, I mean, he said when he came back to WWE, he was here to make money and not friends. But what we didn't know was that he was going to sell everything down the river to make those shell bucks.
Amen. Come on.
Although it is also in his theme song where he just basically says he's a lying scumbag.
Yep.
So
Sure does.
Listen to the lyrics, The Cult of Personality, if you're wondering what I'm talking about.
And if you like Cornette, go on his podcast and check out the song he made.
Oh, yeah. Cult of Meat with Extra Cheese.
It is hilarious. You'll love it. Crack you up.
You're gonna love... I'm sorry.
Stop that.
I can't help myself sometimes. So, this match, it started out really rough, and you could tell these guys haven't wrestled each other in like 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And both guys were huffing and puffing pretty early.
And they began very slowly.
Yes, it kind of reminded me of the Orton versus Cody, except a little bit more interesting, but very similar pace, very slow to start. It picked up near the end, but it's...
which is kind of surprising because both of those guys usually start off at a good pace.
And to be fair, they've had some really good matches together in the past.
Very true.
In SummerSlam, I forget what year it was, they had the match where Punk left WWE and he beat Cena and blew the kiss to Vince McMahon and everything.
And it was really good.
Yeah, it was a really good match. So to see this one, which I would say at the end, I think you hated it more than I did.
I was really disappointed in both characters.
Yeah, for me, I just thought it was kind of mediocre. And up until like the ending sequence, which basically they were both trading finishers, and first Cena had the advantage, hit a million finishers, typical WWE main event style match. You know, finisher, pin, fall 10, finisher, pin, fall 10, I mean, over and over again.
Yeah, back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth, because the finisher's not a finisher anymore.
No.
Anyway, so ref bump, of course, which has happened in pretty much every Cena match since he's turned heel. And then Seth Rollins comes down there with his gang, which is Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and the Penguin himself, Paul Heyman, the ultimate stooge. Love Paul Heyman. But anyway,
talk about going for the money.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that's not unusual for him.
No, that's normal.
But anyway, so they all came down. Basically, Cena and Punk had to unite. There was run-ins from Pentagon and from Sami Zayn, and so basically everybody else got cleared out until it was just Seth, Cena, and Punk. So Cena and Punk shook hands, and Cena was about to screw him over, but then Rollins comes back in the ring and he jumps Punk, hits him with the curb stomp, and Cena vultures the win.
Yep.
Which has been the MO ever since he turned heel.
Mm-hmm.
That every match has to have a fuck finish and it has to have some kind of schmoz. I mean, this one wasn't as bad. It was at least exciting.
Yes.
So unlike some of the other ones that we've seen, like the Orton Cena ending.
That was horrible.
But at the same time, we come to just expect that every time now. So you're not going to get a clean finish, and it's going to be like a whole bunch of people interfering. So it's kind of disappointing, but not to the level of some of the previous ones, because at least there was some action this time.
True.
So Not the worst ending to the pay-per-view, but the whole pay-per-view was just kind of mid.
It was slow, and it just wasn't up to the quality of what WWE is.
Yeah,
I felt like I was looking at an independent.
I mean, to be fair, we did try to watch AEW, and I couldn't even finish that show.
Come on, the first match they had was a 14 wrestler match.
Yeah. So
even the announcers couldn't keep up with who was in or out.
Yeah, we're gonna take a for anybody who's done with the doesn't want to listen to AEW ranting for a few minutes. You can just turn off now because let's just take a minute to shit on AEW. And I will say that we went to a show of AEW in person, which was fine. But we tried to watch this Mexico was a Grand Slam episode of AEW Dynamite, and it was horrible. We had that 14-man match where you couldn't tell what was going on. It was just like moves, sloppily done. People we've never heard of. Who knew who was? Even the announcers couldn't tell who was active or in the match, and botches. One guy landed right on his head. It was one of the many nameless luchadors because they have to name them so fast, otherwise the show will never end because they had 14 fucking guys out there. It was terrible. And then we had another like a one-on-one. I forgot who the second match was. And then the third match, which is where both of us just agreed to turn it off. We had MJF, who previously, when we'd seen him, had been really good, and Mystico, who was Sin Cara in WWE, and he sucks ass. He was terrible in WWE. He's terrible now. He botches like mad, and he was constantly clapping his hands to try to get the crowd in there. It was like a trained seal in the ring.
The audience, exactly. The audience would go quiet, and he'd do that.
You start clapping.
Exactly. Yep.
And MJF was totally phoning it in. He would hit him with something, then he'd go and taunt the crowd and ham it up, and then just go back and maybe do one thing. Then Mystico comes back and makes his multiple horrible comebacks.
It was half-assed. That's what the problem is. MJF didn't really care, and you could tell he didn't care. He didn't do his moves precise like he did before. He didn't care if he didn't get it quite right. He was all right with that.
He looked like somebody had just sent him out to kill his dog in front of him. That's how he looked depressed.
At one point, he just climbed on the turnbuckle and looked around.
What you didn't notice wasn't that he looked around. He was making an obscene gesture towards the crowd like he was jerking himself off.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, be glad you didn't.
Thank God.
The only person who really seemed into it was MVP, the manager on the outside.
If it weren't for him, the whole thing would have been a piece of crap.
Well, it was still a piece of crap, but at least he made it somewhat interesting.
He tried.
Yeah.
They were phoning it.
Yeah, it was totally. And the funny part was they had the one big spot of the match is MJF hit a tombstone pile driver on the ramp and the outside, and that was just a transition spot. It's hilarious. You hit this massive, impactful move, and he just got up and ran in the ring after it got to 8. It was so bad. But anyway,
it was very disappointing.
Yeah, we watched it, so I wanted to take the chance to just take a giant dump on it because it deserved it. So even though this WWE show is pretty average, it blew that AEW show out of the water. So I don't think modern wrestling in general is nearly as good, especially since we watched some of the old WCW stuff. But man, WWE is still the only thing that even approaches what I prefer in wrestling. And I hate to say that, but it's just, that's the state of the industry right now.
True.
We might do some retro shows because I just want to actually see good wrestling, and we're not seeing that much of it. There's a handful of guys I really like in WWE, and to be fair, a handful in AEW, but there's just so much either mid-card guys or dead weight or just bad booking, and it just keeps the show from really being that exciting.
The one thing I'm going to say positive about AEW was Adam Page, and that's a big thing for me because I totally used to despise Adam Page. But I will give it to him. He's learned Spanish, and he was talking about how they welcomed all the wrestlers there like family and took care of them. And it was a really good promo for him. Probably one of the best I've ever seen him do.
At least he was trying.
Yes.
And he usually just screams, and you can tell that he just doesn't
know what to do.
The emotion isn't there, but he actually seemed like he was into that.
He's finally grown up, and I think he might be coming into his own.
If someone could actually dress him and give him a haircut that doesn't look like he got attacked by a weed whacker,
Well,
that
at
might
least
help.
he's not saying I'm a man and punching himself in the face anymore.
Or wearing his wife's pants with
the
this.
flowers on them.
Wasn't it a butterfly?
No, he had one pair that had flowers.
Oh, okay. But
the
anyway.
Butterfly was on another.
Yeah, that was just hilarious. Like,
yeah. Oh my God.
they should have. That I wouldn't see a cowboy dead in that outfit.
That's my point.
Anyway, we totally generated off the original point of this podcast. So for the one person that's hanging around and finished listening to this, Jose, we love you, buddy. We're gonna sign off here, and I don't know when we're gonna do another podcast, but it'll probably be something retro. Maybe we'll do a WCW show.
That sounds like
those have been pretty fun. Anyway, thanks for everybody who's watching, and don't believe any of our sponsorships today.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
That was fun.